Okay, I'm back with my data, my imaginary data I filled this thing up with to show you guys what's going on. The first thing I want to note is when I went to my site, it turned out there were two modular trailer buildings that no one expected to be there. We didn't know that ahead of time. So I have trailer one and trailer two I discovered out there. I added those folders using the add building button here, kind of back at the site level. Notice these are black font, and there's no globe here, meaning these are unlinked. There was nothing to link these two. These were not there ahead of time. This main building here at Washington Elementary is linked. It's in blue font with a globe. Uh, Going into the main building here, hitting open, you can see the data I entered. I used index cards and construction paper to clearly show the data flow here. So when we look at it back in ACID you'll really be able to see what's going on. So I filled out my preliminary information here. When you do that, it gives you this nice data to reference in this bottom bar as you work through the various tabs. So here is my cover and my four elevations. I'm going to go to the structural. I'm going to step through the tabs here so you can see all the information I entered in. There's kind of my structural overview. I had two kinds of facades, so I put those in the containers. I had a primary roof and a secondary roof. These are my interior spaces. Space A, B, C, D. Assume those were like the lobby, office, meeting room, auditorium. Again, you can edit these things if you need to. There's my elevator overview, my plumbing overview. So for that shot, call back to what we're stressing about photos, my cluster of two water heaters together, as opposed to just one asset type photo of a water heater. There's the two water heaters. HVAC, we're going to assume I didn't have any central systems for this building, so that stuff stays blank. But I did have some individual units under Photolog in IND. There's my cluster of RTUs, same idea. 3 RTUs showing the system, the HVAC system. Electrical, here's my main switchboard, and I had a generator and a transfer switch. I didn't enter any fire assets. I do have some other stuff in there. And showing you site, this could be parking lot A, parking lot B. Here's landscaping and two different site improvements. Maybe this is signage and fencing, and this is a playground, something like that. Moving to the assets view. Well, let me go to Photolog. So those are all the same photos. I just stepped through tab by tab. They're also all visible here. And again, these all default to included with the green box around them. And it's kind of a good check for yourself. Did I get all the photos I need? Are there boxes in these? Are there photos in these boxes? Here's my assets over here. Just going through all the assets. The MEP assets have 3 photos: the asset, the data plate, and the tag. Whereas some of your architectural and site things might easily just have 1 photo associated. So that's kind of the look of the data. Okay, right. Let me show you assets. So here's my all assets view. This is kind of showing me everything. This is also assuming I entered the data in various stages for my electrical components and my rooftop RTUs. I entered all the data, a combination of in the field and using Asset Couch. And so you can see all these things have blue stars, meaning they're linked to a specific cost item. And here's some new functionality, brand new with this app, kind of a status rainbow bar at the far left. It's a line. When that bar is green, it means all the data for that asset is completely filled out. If it's red, it means you filled in hardly any data. And I'll scroll down here. There's some yellow. This is kind of in between. Maybe there's half the data fields are filled out. So it's a great way to check. If you didn't want to zap your data to asset calc until it was completely finished, you'd be looking for a full green bar there on the left. Reality, though, is most of the time your assets are going to be in various state of being finished, and for the purposes of this data transfer exercise, I want the data to be in various states of being finished. Just a couple more notes. If you do take the time to fill in your asset tag here, and we've given you photos here, which is a great way to look at it, but if you do take the time to fill it in, see how this nicely organizes your stuff. So I can now determine quickly the differences in these 8 RTUs by that field over there. And another critical point, I really like to stress this one. I like these bars to all be gray. That means you've at least selected down one more level than what you start with. And to quickly illustrate that, let me add one more item. I'll hit the add button over here. Let's say I wanted to add another floor finish. It shows up as new interior floor asset, and it's kind of very generic. That's why this is orange. What I was just stating, if I click on this button and say it was epoxy floor coating, by doing that I make this thing gray, and I know it's down. And sometimes doing that will fully link it to a cost. We only have one cost in our cost library for epoxy flooring. That's why this thing is already blue. Other times, it won't be fully linked. For instance, this water heater, until I enter the capacity of the water heater, it doesn't know what asset calc ID to tie with. So enough on that. I want to show you the data. Here's your filter too. Here's the site assets. I have pavement, mill and overlay, and I have a site play surface. Architectural. There's that epoxy floor I just added. It doesn't have a photo. I'm going to delete that right now. I don't want that in there. Delete, yes, confirm. So that's gone. Here are my assets. Some I fully defined and some I didn't. I intentionally did not fully define this wall and window so you can see what that looks like in asset calc. I did edit some quantities, but not all of them. That 4 nines is kind of a big indicator that you have some editing to do. More on that later. There's all my MEP. Again, water heater I didn't fully do the data for. I did do the electrical fully. This is a mystery item. This item in pink, we'll get to that on the other side too. So I randomly called it, I guessed it was a plumbing item. I didn't know what it was. And there's my 8 rooftop RTUs. And here's some elevators. And here's some kitchen stuff. Just one last note, this kitchen stuff is linked to a sublocation. You can tell that by this green font here. So if you'll remember, we had a sublocation for cafeteria, and I linked it to that folder right here. This is also the location name. These things don't necessarily have to be the same. It's not a bad idea if they are the same. There's nothing wrong with cafeteria. But if I scroll back up here, you'll see, again, Facility Dude insists on providing a very specific location for your MEP equipment. You got to drill down to the lowest level folder structure to put your MEP in. So if you'll remember, we had a first floor sublocation defined for us, but in the location field I put electrical room. There's nothing wrong with that policy either. Okay, I'm going to end this module and start a new one.